This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
I've been waiting for Celebration all year long.
Are you ready to celebrate?
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate.
Oh, and guess what? This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
This is the behind-the-scenes stuff you don't see. This is radio, so...
I'm comfortable flying by the seat of my pants, but I'm not sure about my friends.
Actually, you know what they're doing? They're ordering lunch.
Yeah. Who wants the pastrami?
All right, I'm going to say it. I'm going to get it out of the way. Hello there.
All right, let's get started, everybody. Hello and welcome to the podcast stage. We are Coffee with Kenobi. Yes. All right, you know these yahoos up here, but who you really know and who I came to see is we have some incredible special guests. We have some Star Wars royalty here with us, literally and figuratively. James Arnold Taylor and Catherine Tabor.
What a pleasure.
Okay, so the first thing, it's great to actually have... Wait, Tom, you have a line. Do it, Tom.
Yes. James Arnold Taylor.
Yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
We want to know, since you are on Coffee with Kenobi, how does Obi-Wan like his coffee?
Well, a bit British, I suppose. Little touch of cream, little honey. Yes. And,
all right.
That temperature just before it burns your tongue, and you go, oh, just underneath that. So it stays throughout the entire podcast, nice and warm.
Very good.
I love that.
Very
All right. So yesterday, I'm sure you've seen James. Of course, they're both signing autographs and taking pictures. I happened to be by the Star Wars show, and I saw you come out.
Oh, really?
And oh my gosh, this guy, I mean, we know what an incredible electric personality he is, but you were commanding that crowd.
No, really? I hope not in a bad way.
No, in a wonderful way. It was electric. Tell me about that experience. You're running out there, and you've just got this love from these Star Wars fans.
Well, first off, it's just wonderful to see everybody. You know, I missed last Celebration, and the ones before that I hosted. So it's always kind of strange to not be on that hosting side of things. So I love it. And when I got there, they've got these big doors that open, and they're explaining it to me. I'm like, I know. They're like, no. I'm like, no, I know. And I'm not trying to be like a guy, like, yeah, I know. But it was like, I get it. I'm fine. Please, don't worry about it. I'll have fun. And it's just great to be a part of it all. Because we did Star Wars weekends. Anybody go to Star Wars weekends? For so many years, and that was a wonderful celebration of all things Star Wars. I wish they'd bring it back. Let's say a prayer they do, huh? Disney, come on, bring it back. We'll use the Jedi mind trick. So getting back and being on a stage with everybody and talking Star Wars is second nature to me, so I love it.
So this is my first celebration.
Oh my
Anyone
goodness.
else first celebration?
Wow.
So what I would like to know is, what does celebration mean to you?
Ooh, Catherine?
You know, I think for me it means family, and I have just the fondest memories. It's really cool that it's been 10 years for Clone Wars and we just celebrated the anniversary, because I remember, and I actually have video footage still of just us getting to the hotel for our first celebration together, all of us walking down the hallways lost. And it's amazing. So it's like the greatest family reunion ever, and then our extended family here that's so happy, to be here as well. So it's warm and wonderful.
Yeah, it's not
except
just,
it's cold outside.
Yes, it's not just for cheap applause. We really mean it, honestly, sincerely. We've both been blessed to work in so many wonderful franchises throughout our careers, but Star Wars fans I say it all the time, but you are the most wonderful people, and I feel we're just Star Wars fans as well. We're the lucky people that ended up getting the call to come in and actually play with them for a while. But come on, it's the greatest franchise on the planet, and it's because of everybody here. And I think George has always known that the fans help make it spectacular, and that's why it's still the best convention to be at.
And speaking of that convention, obviously we got some big news on Friday, The Rise of Skywalker. The trailer came out, the panel was available, and it was kind of a brand new thing. So I feel like this is the celebration of new things. Clone Wars is coming back, Mandalorian's coming out, so we've heard all these things. But for that trailer to come out, that's a bookend, kind of, is what they're kind of calling it. So that's similar to what maybe Clone Wars, you guys have felt the bookend feeling. How does that compare for you guys?
Gosh. It's sad, isn't it? It's a little bittersweet because the whole Skywalker thing, like this being the last Skywalker story, I don't know how I feel about it.
It doesn't sit well, really.
It does. Come on, Skywalker forever, please. And Clone Wars, 12 episodes. They've announced the series, the streaming service now, right? And it's going to be like $6.99 or something.
Yes,
that's not bad for Clone Wars. $6.99, we're sale price. No, it's good, but it is a little, like I say, it's a little bittersweet because I don't know. The best part, though, Kat and I did not get to see the trailer. Were any of you in the room with the trailer, the big thing? A few of you, yeah. Wow. See, doesn't that tell you something? Like, out of this gigantic room of people, there was like 5 of you that saw it. That's kind of amazing. So we watched it on Greg. It was Greg Grunberg's phone.
Yep.
Afterwards. The effect was still there, but it wasn't as big. And then, so it's like afterwards, I saw Ian because, he's just wandering about. The Emperor's just wandering around in the green room.
Not a good sign.
Going, is there coffee? And you're like, yes, it's right over there, Emperor. It's strange. So seeing him afterwards was great, but he gave me a button. No. And it's make the galaxy great again?
Yep.
And it's got a little picture of him on it. Wow. And I felt a little funny taking it and wearing it, but no.
I feel really funny taking it and wearing it.
You probably should.
Yeah.
It will be the death of me. No, so, it has been a wild time. I don't know. I see these trailers and I love teaser trailers. Don't you love teaser trailers? I wish they'd just do teaser trailers and then not do any more until the movie comes out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Tells too much of the story.
Right?
Back when I was a child, you see, they used to do this quite a bit.
They didn't give away the whole movie. How many times you watch a movie and they show like parts from the ending of the movie in the trailer and you go, that's from the end, I bet. I hate that when they do that. So I loved this one. And did anybody see that comparison of North by Northwest with those shots?
Yes.
Wasn't that awesome? That's one of my favorite movies. I love North by Northwest, Hitchcock. So yeah, I'm going on and on. You guys can cut
No, it's okay.
time.
That's okay. All right, so I'm going to put you both on the spot a little bit in a good, safe, because I don't see any Filoni snipers in the room that we're aware of.
Oh, they're always about.
That's right. So what can you tell us? Obviously, we've got a Clone Wars panel coming up quite soon. What can you tell us about the upcoming season?
Nothing.
So,
all right, thanks everybody.
Any
Sure,
other
tip your waitress.
questions? Here's the thing. It's worked like any other season of Clone Wars. You go in if you're needed. You get the pages that you speak on, and then that's it. So they have to keep things pretty secret. When we were doing the other seasons, there were times where they would move us out of the room.
Yeah.
And that always felt strange. That Padme, Obi-Wan, you go away. We're keeping Ahsoka and Anakin. You're like, wait a second. So I can say this. It is going to be beautiful and sounds wonderful. It looks wonderful. The stories are wonderful. You all will be very excited and thrilled and not disappointed. You will not be disappointed. I can say that honestly, and I think that's safe to say.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. So I know how he felt, because he was on and we talked about the return of this. What was it like for you to get the news and to go into that booth again to record just for Clone Wars? Because obviously you're a very busy person. Your audiobook, Queen Shadow, is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the dream team right there. What was it like for you to find out that you were going to get back into this and record Clone Wars again?
I think the overall reaction for everyone was just, again, and I said this already, but it was just, it wasn't just that it was exciting about the show, but just this overall idea that, like, if people fight for something good that they really want, that it actually works. So it was just like this big, hopeful, wonderful feeling that, like, actually there is good in the world, and Clone Wars is back.
That's right.
Yeah, we were genuinely surprised. We thought, I had said it on my YouTube channel and many times to people, and probably with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it doesn't look like it's ever going to come back. We just didn't think it would, but persistence pays off.
It really does.
Thank you all, because that Clone Wars saved was.
So I have hope that actually it was not Padme in the funeral procession still, and that it was a decoy. So, now I'm really, like, I'm like, you can hope for anything, and maybe it will be true. So, Padme's not dead. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, Padme lives. Now we got new t-shirts.
There's a new hashtag. Somebody started.
Start the hashtag, yeah. And then, did anybody see on my Instagram, I posted a picture of this Padme with that other Anakin.
Oh, yeah.
I think it broke the internet, actually.
And Anakin squared was nice, too.
Here's the thing. You know who introduced Padme to Anakin? Anakin. Matt did.
And then Obi-Wan took our picture.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like Inception? Is like
Exactly.
Okay, so you guys are obviously, you have to go.
Oh, yeah.
Do you? I mean, you're welcome to stay the whole time.
I will say this, though. When we were meeting with Hayden, the one thing he said that was really lovely, he first off, what a genuinely beautiful, wonderful, warm human being. And he looked at me and he said, you guys have done so much for this franchise. Thank you.
True.
Like, come on. I said, you're not so bad yourself. Yeah. And he really meant it. He really meant it.
Sure.
So it was beautiful. Yeah, he knew who all of us were and was like, it was just really neat.
Clone Wars, the animated series of Clone Wars, I think is the soul of the prequel trilogy, and it's why I relate to your characters. It's because of the work you all have done, so thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Please, thank you.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true. So, if you don't subscribe to the Jatcast, you need to just ignore me for a few minutes because you're too busy subscribing. It's on iTunes, it's everywhere. It's this guy, and it's inspiring, it's Christian, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's wonderful. James Arnold Taylor, Kat Tabor, thank you guys.
Sure, thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you guys.
All right, yes. Catherine, Kat Tabor?
Yep.
Okay, on Instagram and Twitter?
Yep.
All right. And we're making a movie soon that we're both in, that I wrote for us, and that'll be coming out soon. And we'll come on Coffee with Kenobi and talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely.
You hear that? I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we're actually
Hey, you
starting
passed the
to
audition.
shoot.
Nice job.
Yeah, I'm growing the beard out for it, but everybody keeps going, oh, well. It's like, no, it's not.
Yes, no, something else.
So, yes. Anyways, all right. Thank you all so much. May the force be with you. It is strong in this room indeed. And I'm leaving you in capable hands now, yes?
Thank you, guys.
Kat Tabor and James Arnold Taylor, everybody. Save that for them.
You can use it.
Okay.
We'll
see you soon. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, let's hear it for them again.
Now we
Wow.
talk, right?
Yeah, so that was amazing, right? Wow.
Indeed.
That, we got to say, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but James surprised us with Catherine Tabor. We didn't know she was going to be here. That was quite a treat. All right, speaking of treats, I'm with my two buddies up here. Have you ever heard of Coffee with Kenobi? Yeah, good. I'm glad. All right, guys. Tom, as we know, this is your first celebration. I want to talk about some of the highlights that you have so far. Corey, let's start with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this through the last couple of days. Just overall, get back to the hotel room. You guys probably experienced this. What was the best thing? What was the worst thing? And we kind of talked to this topic really quick on the ride over here. And for first and foremost, I'm impressed with the fans. Just from the cosplay to just the genuine conversations that I've had with people in line, sitting in panels, sitting in just different booths and stuff like that. I think it's really cool to see the Star Wars community come together, and we kind of talked about that's the what makes Star Wars Star Wars. And I think that, yes, movies are coming out and TV shows are coming out, but the fans are what make this franchise completely.
Oh, I agree. And I think was anyone here at the podcast meetup last night? Yeah, I think we saw that in action. What about you? What are some highlights?
Yeah, well, I'm going to build off of that one because it is definitely the fans for me. It was the part of the con that, as being a first-time person coming to Star Wars Celebration, that I wasn't expecting. I've been to other cons where you've got a pocket of Star Wars fans, you've got a pocket of Marvel and DC, and fans kind of from all over coming together, which is a unique experience in and of itself. But coming here to Star Wars, everybody loves the same thing. And so, it's so much fun just going out and being able to, standing in line for the store, just, striking up conversation with anybody is so easy. Like, hey, what did you like about Star Wars? And boom, you're done. And you have a 2-hour conversation, and that's my first highlight of Star Wars Celebration.
I love it. Let's see. We'll go. Obviously the Episode 9 trailer. Did you know there was a trailer already? Yeah. What did everyone think of the title? Just kind of shout out.
Like it.
What everyone said was blah, blah, blah. That's what you heard. Everyone. I haven't really heard anything negative about it. The experience in that room was incredible. Because you're waiting and then you're meeting everyone, and then they say, you want to see a trailer? And they show it and the lights dim and you see that beautiful cinematography and you see this Daisy Ridley, the spotlight is on her, that incredible stunt work, which they kind of alluded to earlier on in the panel. I actually saw an interview with JJ later, and the interviewee had asked him, hey, are there going to be new force powers? And he goes, you're talking about the power of jump? She's always been able to jump. But obviously they're going to take it to another level. And then the lights come on, everyone's clapping, and you see Ian McDiarmid come out and, roll it again. And unbelievable. And that was it was an electric moment, goosebump inducing. That was a definite highlight for me. And at the end of our little recording session here, we're going to get a chance for you to come up and give your thoughts on this or anything Star Wars related. So start thinking about what you're going to say. You're going to be on the mic. Yeah. All right. Next one.
Yeah, so next, I'm going to build off that too. I think the reason people come to Celebration was for those announcements. A lot of big stuff coming out. Obviously, the trailer was big. Episode 9, we only knew it for that much. And then we got a title, which to me, a title is with kind of the snippet or the 2-second version of seeing something right away. So the Rise of Skywalker has so many implications, I think, that you can think about. We'll talk about it shortly here. But I've never had a name and a title before like that. And so that brings so much more depth to it, I think. But that for me is like a huge highlight. I like the way of naming things and how they come up with names and things like that.
Sure.
And the different procedures of basically going through around discussions about this. And I think it alluded to the fact that they didn't know up until that panel. They had some workings of different titles, and that was like, okay, we're going to go with this one. Let's get on the stage. And it was kind of like it was basically talked about. Only certain people knew about it, and it was so cool. I think that they keep the secrets so safe.
I have a feeling that it was until the very, very last moment that they actually decided on the title, just based on sort of the things that I heard and the way people were reacting. Even like some people in Lucasfilm, I think it was a big surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah. And actually, Episode 9 is my second item of the highlight of the con so far. But as usual on the show, I have a very different take on it. And that is, it's more the group experience for me. Obviously, I love the trailer and all of that. But it was more that the way Corey and I saw it was so different than the way Dan saw it, which is so different than probably most of us saw it. We all have our own unique stories of how we experienced that, even though we were all here at the same place. And I have just thoroughly enjoyed talking about that experience. And then I was like, so what did you think of the trailer? Because to me, it was all about the experience of how to get it, which again is why we come to this. So number 2 is the experience of that trailer as a whole group.
Wow. Let's just give one more and we'll jump into our topic because I want to hear what everybody thinks too. I think one thing that if you haven't done it yet, you need to try to make it a priority to go to the ILM X Labs Vader Immortal experience. Has anyone done that yet? Isn't it incredible? Come on down here real quick. I want to hear what you think. Good deal. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's the virtual reality experience, and you put it on. It's completely immersive, naturally, and it's kind of intimidating. Hey, what's your name?
Jacob.
Jacob? Hey, Jacob's on Coffee with Kenobi, everybody. Yeah. How do you like public speaking?
My first real experience.
All right, good. Well, hey, tell us about the experience with Vader.
It's just it's all completely immersive. I mean, when you're using the Oculus Quest, there's no wires or cords hanging around. So you can spin around and look around. Everything's behind you and in front of you, and you're swinging that lightsaber around, blocking the bolts, fighting another droid with a lightsaber, and it's fun.
It's really fun.
Play VR, I love it.
Oh, good. Hey, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, there's the story. I'm not sure how much you're familiar with, but the story's in canon. And if you've ever done the Secrets of the Void, Secrets of the Empire, the Void from the virtual reality experience they have at Disney World and Disneyland in Glendale, it's a little bit time-wise after that. I mean, they're building something pretty powerful, and of course they wouldn't tell us what that was. But it's an amazing experience. I definitely think you want to check out. Two quick things.
Yeah, real quick, we just got out of the Mandalorian panel, which I thought was incredible. That was big news.
Everybody see that? Yeah.
That team of creatives have done such a good job of keeping things on their own terms, but also giving us enough to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. So, and they showed us some clips and talked about the production value and the actors were all there. So it's so cool to see them live and talk about it and get excited about it too. I think their energy is so absorbable.
Yeah. Palpable?
Palpable.
Yeah.
Palpable.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
And then I guess my last one is, and I'm sure you can all only imagine what this would be like. It goes back to my theme of being the first time being here at Star Wars Celebration. And it may sound like a lame top three, but this is true. Being able to hang out with two of my very best friends, Corey and Dan, and then all of my new hundreds of new friends too. So,
I agree.
It said secret on here. I was like, wonder what that is. That smiley face.
I know the secret.
We obviously have a Patreon show, and we try to do some behind-the-scenes stuff with our lens. And the other night we had a push-up contest. And we're all still alive, so that's a good thing. And we're having a great time together. I mean, I'm sure it's just, there is a unique bond, I think, that is formed. Because let's be honest, this is a world where there are some challenging things that go on. But ultimately, you find peace in the things you love that build you up. And we build each other up through this community. And I think that's very much on display here. So thank you for helping to perpetuate that, for real.
Exactly.
All right, we got a topic. We actually have a topic.
The topic came from the Patreon show.
Yeah, it did. We made it on the Patreon show. It is. We have our top 4 Star Wars moments. There was a hashtag a couple of weeks ago where people were putting pictures of their top 4 Star Wars moments, whether it be from the films, comics, literature, animated stuff. It doesn't really matter. So we have decided that would be a kind of a fun thing to do, and then you can share what you have as well as any other questions you might have. So I actually haven't even made mine up yet. I'm going to make these up as I go.
I was making mine up as I was walking.
Yeah, no, I work better that way. I just kind of trust it's going to happen.
He's a librarian, so he's got to be prepared.
All right, I'm prepared in a different way than you.
Well,
you'll go first.
All right.
Well, let's find out. Maybe I'm not.
Tom's in first.
I need to go first.
Yeah.
My notes are in my bag, but I think I've got it.
Prepare. Sure, he's prepared. I'll go first.
I was prepared. So my very first moment comes from, this top 4 moment is not just from the films, but it's from all medium of Star Wars story. So my first one comes from a novel. And I remember when I first got this novel, everyone was like, why are you reading that novel? Because it's a novelization of a movie. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, aren't you just going to see the movie? And I was pleasantly surprised when I started reading this book. And then I saw the movie, and it was The Phantom Menace by Terry Brooks. Because the first huge section of the book does not even appear in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And so my top moment, and this has been one of my top moments since the minute I read the words on the page. And it was, if you've read the book, who's read the Phantom Menace by Terry Brooks? Okay, so if you have not, it's definitely worth a try, or at least the first part. Go to the library and check it out and read the first section of the book. Because Watto sends Anakin out into the desert to trade some junk parts and bring some back. Well, on his trip back, it's getting evening. They need to get back because the Tusken Raiders will be coming out and it'll be very dangerous. Well, Anakin and his droid parade, I suppose, encounter a wounded Tusken Raider. And he chooses and decides to stay the night and care for this Tusken Raider and make sure that he does not perish in the night. He wakes up in the morning, and there's a lot of other details that goes in there. I'm just trying to make it short here. But he wakes up in the morning, and the clan is there. And they're about to execute Anakin, and the Tusken Raider that he saved stops them. And they go about their way and leave Anakin and his droids, and they go back. And it's such a powerful moment. And even at that time, before we knew the full story, I just felt like, this shows so much. When Luke says, there is goodness in my Father and I can feel it, I felt it in that moment. And that is one of my top 4.
That's a great start.
Good start.
Wow. Makes episode 2 even more tragic, really.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, so mine... and I don't know, I try to think of all the different types of media I've done. I've kind of piecemealed some things together along the ways, and I think I try to do the best I can, but sometimes you can't read everything, basically, so I kind of went with my childhood memories. It feels like that's so you kind of get these out of, I guess, of sort of what makes Star Wars for you, so you kind of pull these moments out. For me, it was Return of the Jedi when Luke enters Jabba the Hutt's palace, and he's like, we know he's like crushed and broken at the end of the Empire. He's got his hand taken off. He's at his lowest. He's found his dad is like a killer of the universe, and that kills somebody. That's depression.
No, sure.
Lowest form. And then you see him come back. And he's just like he's hooded, and he's walking through the hallway and like he's choking guards, and he's just like, okay, this guy's bad now. And as a kid watching those, like I just was like, your hero is bad, and that was the moment I was like, I don't know if I like this. And then he gets into like the negotiations with Jabba, and we see that mind tricks don't work, and he's like, okay, kind of back to heroic Luke, and obviously we see he comes through and saving his friends, but I think that alone is just like a cool scene to walk through and see him progress as a character.
Right. Oh, that's great too. I remember. I mean, how could you not remember that first moment? I remember when I saw Return of the Jedi for the first time. It was the first day, and every time a new character was introduced, everyone clapped. And I remember thinking that was special. I remember I was like 6 or 7 years old. I remember thinking that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. My top one is from Star Wars Rebels. It is from, it's the episode where Ahsoka comes back. A World Between Worlds. That was an incredible one. When I watched that, there's that sequence where she appears, and Ezra pulls her out of reality, and that expands your mind to think about they are layering Star Wars now in a very different way. It's not linear. I mean, I don't know if it's ever really been linear because we've got the in media res where the story starts in the middle and it goes back to the beginning. But the fact that Dave Filoni went to that direction, brought out one of the most beloved characters in the Star Wars franchise, and then creates this possibility that multiple things can happen at once. I did a piece for it on StarWars.com, and it was the hardest thing I've ever written for StarWars.com because it was just so incredibly important in what it meant. And I also have to be careful not to say, that you're endorsing time travel or all this kind of stuff. One of the first things I ever did for StarWars.com, I wrote something about Rey and Kylo and their duel in The Force Awakens. And Pablo Hidalgo, someone asked him a question about something with Rey, and so he said, I don't know, you should ask Dan Zare, read his article. And I got a ton of negative attention because Pablo was throwing stuff my way because he likes to mess with me. It was pretty funny. But that's the thing, you have to be careful what you write about. But ultimately, if you just stick true to what you believe and don't try to say, no, this is it, this is canon, we don't get to decide that. But you do get to analyze it and look at it. And that episode, I think, was a very, very powerful example of what Star Wars can do in storytelling. Because if you can take a franchise that's over 40 years old and you can surprise someone with it, I think that's pretty wonderful. I think that's why we're here.
My number 2 links right to that, and that is that moment in Rebels. By the way, I'm so prepared that my 4 are ranked in time order.
Oh,
chronological
wow,
order.
Look at
so,
you.
Just going to say, is in Rebels when Ezra pulls Ahsoka into that time space to save her from the battle with Vader. I chose that just very quickly because that sort of changed everything. as far as how the Force can work, and made us realize that there's a lot more to this than what we've always understood. So I chose that as my number 2.
Nice. And I'll build off of that too, because my next one's Rebels, and I think that's kind of the theme. So for me, as we started the podcast, we had like a lot of things coming up. Rebels was the next like biggest thing coming out of Lucasfilm and Disney, and we kind of take that by storm and got to interview a lot of those folks. So Rebels always kind of close to my heart, but it was a sacrifice that Kanan had in Rebels.
Oh wow,
his death scene, if you will. But like that was a sacrifice he was sacrificing his friends, his loved ones, and that to me, Rebels has always been interesting enough because that to me is a family. They're a family rolling around of rebels basically, and one of them took his life to save the others, and that's the ultimate cost. We see that all through Star Wars, I think, too. That's just repetitiveness, but also in the sense of like this is a family losing a member versus like a father or son, and that's that family element coming to one another's aid. So it's very powerful.
No, that's a great one too. The one for me, I used to say this was my favorite moment in Star Wars until something I'm going to say later. but the sequence in The Empire Strikes Back when Luke is arrived at Cloud City, and he finds his way into the carbonite freezing chamber, and there's this beautiful silhouette of Darth Vader, and he says, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet." And Luke walks up there, and there's just the way it's lit is just there's just these two images of these people in this hulking monster or terror, and this boy that is suddenly becoming a man, and he's facing his father. He doesn't know it yet. I think that's a powerful metaphor, and it looks so beautiful that the way. I mean, that's a piece of art right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This happens on the show so much that now mine's going to come right off of that.
Really?
In fact, almost takes place immediately in that scene. And I thought this one was super obvious and like cliche, but you know what? To me, it is a super important moment, and I will never forget sitting in the theater as a 10-year-old when this moment happened, because me and all of my friends, like, whoa, and it changed our conversation for the next 3 years. And that is when Luke is hanging onto that, whatever that thing is, over the chasm, and Darth Vader, you know what I'm going to say? Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." And it just changed so much for us as 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds in the theater at that moment. And I'll never forget the gasp in the theater at that time, and how much that just had such an impact on us. And we took bets and we talked for the next 3 years about, is he really, is he not? And I had one friend that said, no, I'm pretty sure it's Boba Fett. But so it was a lot of fun, but such an important piece of the story.
Nice. My next one, I don't know if it riffs off you, but it still has that element of connectivity, and it's more recent from The Last Jedi.
Oh, really?
It's the throne room scene with Rey and Ben and them. Yeah,
good call.
Because again, you talk about imagery. That imagery was perfect when when they stop and kind of like they get this connection. Snoke has just been killed, and like, hey, the throne room guards are coming at them. They're like, what are we gonna do? And they go back to back. It's almost like a slow motion sweep, and that's just like you get chilled. I'm getting chilled right now. Look at that. And it's just like you're like, yes, this is awesome.
Yes.
So cool. I mean, what we learned later on is like, oh, not so awesome. But that moment right there was like, this is for a new generation to be able to understand what it is to be a Star Wars fan, and in that essence of like talking about your growing up and being a young one watching Star Wars for the first time. But this is another epic moment, I think, in Star Wars history that's lived out its meaning for relationships and of these characters working together.
You know what? I love it. I love it when Corey says something about something that's visual, because he is so awesome visually with our logos and the podcast station logo. And so anytime that he says something is visually stunning, I'm going to go back and take another look at it.
Amen to that.
So that's a great scene. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
My next one is also from The Last Jedi, and it is, does anyone know what I'm going to say?
The whole film.
Well, I do love the whole film. No, it's the sequence at the end when Luke faces. When Luke faces the first. Yeah, it's when he faces the First Order. He shows up and he looks a little bit younger, and then he kisses Carrie Fisher on the forehead, and then he walks out there and they play that incredible score by John Williams, which kind of drives the action, and then you just see him in front of everybody There's just, another goosebump moment. Maybe it's cold in here. It's just so electric. And I saw that for the first time. I clapped and I cheered like Michael Jordan had just dropped 50 against the Knicks. Sorry, Knicks fans. He did it a lot. It is just incredible, the power. I've been waiting for that moment for a very long time. But then also to add to that, and I'm going to piggyback this in the same one as well, when he duels Kylo, of course, I'm sure you know this, he doesn't take one offensive move. The Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never attack. In the end of Return of the Jedi, Luke throws away his lightsaber. In this, he doesn't use his lightsaber. He uses his presence, his will, what he believes to be the right thing to do. And he wins. He defeats Kylo Ren. And I think, sometimes people were disappointed that Luke didn't come back as some Conan the Barbarian, Deadpool type. But that's not who Luke Skywalker is. That's been the precedent since 1983 in Return of the Jedi. And to see it manifest like that is a thing of beauty.
I'm sorry. I'm wrapped up in the scene of that because that is a great moment. It's one of my honorable mentions if we're going to do those.
Okay.
Because I've got quite a list of honorable mentions here. How do you do that? Like, how do you do this? When we said four moments, I'm like, are you kidding me?
No.
I know we only have 45 minutes, but Okay, my number 4 comes from a novel. I started with a novel, went TV show, went film, and now I'm back to a novel. And so this one is in the novel Bloodline. And in this, Leia is wrapped up into this election to choose a head senator of the Senate, which she was very much against because that sounded too much like something she had heard a lot about that had failed in the past. And so she eventually decides to run. Because she thinks that if she gets it, she'll do the right thing. And so it is in the political battle of that election process, it is discovered and revealed by her opponent that she is the daughter of Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was such a chilling moment of the novel. But when I try to place it into the whole story, I just think about how devastating that would be to her, coming from a family of politics, being a rebel, winning, and then into this position, and then that comes out, and how long that had been a secret. And so I just really feel like that is such an important moment, because on the other side, so then you look post, and consequence is she starts the resistance. And because of that, if she had won that election, the resistance would look different, if it would be anything at all. Because I don't know that if she would have won that position, that anything would have improved much. She would have been mired in red tape and politics and all of that, and I think bad would have happened anyway. And so that's just my opinion, and we can all have our own opinions, of course, on that. But I think that was a huge moment in the Star Wars story when that came out.
That was my honorable mention, and that moment is why that is my favorite novel in Star Wars. Yeah, that's Claudia Gray.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
My final one is kind of the classic one, and I got thinking about this, what is Star Wars without A New Hope in the very first film? You talked about kind of bringing the new twist to the franchise that's been around for 40 years, but this is the very first one that gets the twist, and it's very end when Han comes back to help Luke take on the Death Star. He's like, come on, kid, because we think he leaves, right?
Right.
And that's like, we're like, oh man, the team's broken up, the gang's dispersed, and here he goes, come back to save the group and help out and save his friends. Basically, he made friends. A scoundrel who never has friends, but Chewie is become new friends, and it's, to me, that's the power of relationship. That's the power of friendship, and that's what I think even harkens back to fandom in a sense of like fans and friends are together forever, and whenever they're having a bad moment or something like that, they can come to each other's aid and be able to support each other. I think that's the power of, even though you're flying the Millennium Falcon, but blasting a blaster at somebody is supporting them in some way. So I think that's really cool.
During this entire conversation, how many of your lists kind of changed during this conversation? Mine has multiple times. Taxis, I'm proud of you. You haven't tried to put up the poster yet. Okay. Nice. Darth Taxis, you should follow him on Twitter. He's one of the funniest guys out there. All right, so my last one, and Dennis Keithley, who is probably the best guy analyzing Star Wars comics out there, besides our own Matt Moore and Jeff McGee, of course. Dennis, Darth Vader number 24, Kieran Gillen, that's my number 4. Okay. In that issue, Vader is in a place where has no agency, he has no power. The person who created his suit has put in a failsafe to immobilize him. And this is all canonical stuff. And so he, in this like a surreal dream sequence, he faces, with a lightsaber on Mustafar, he faces Anakin Skywalker, he faces Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he faces Padme. And he destroys all of them. And I remember reading that thinking, oh my gosh, like that is dark. That is real darkness. That is where he is. That's why it's so important that his son redeems him, because he goes to a place where he really is trying to kill those parts of himself that make him human. And you know why? One of the reasons he turned to the dark side is because of his love for Padme. And then he actually kills that. And that, I mean, that's Shakespearean. And that's why I keep coming back to this franchise. It's unbelievable. If you haven't read it yet, Kieran Gillen's 25-issue run of Darth Vader is amazing storytelling. All right.
That's our 4, right?
That's our 4. We're not going to do honorable mentions. We've got about 7 minutes left. We want to hear from each of you. And also, we're going to do our CWK selfie, too, if you got the shirt. So don't forget about that. But who wants to come up here and ask a question about Star Wars? Yeah, come on up.
Yeah.
Talk about your moment, anything about celebration, your favorite crayon. It doesn't really matter.
If you come up and ask a question, I'll give you a sticker.
Oh, who likes swag? Yeah. Everybody at Star Wars Celebration likes swag. There you go, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, my name's Alex. Hi, everybody. How are you? Hi. I just want to say first, thank you so much for creating this podcast. And it truly is one of my highlights of the week whenever listening to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. And it helped me get through my work day, so thanks. And I just have a quick question here. Now that the Skywalker saga is wrapping up, it opens the floor up to Rian Johnson and the producers of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
What do you think they're going to be bringing to the table in the next couple of years?
Sure. Real quick, can you show everybody your phone case?
Oh.
How about that? Yeah. Probably
somebody can top that with a tattoo.
There you go.
That's crazy.
Ooh, next to my chopper tattoo.
There you go.
Yeah. I think we saw that with The Mandalorian today. There's going to be a bit of a tonal shift. Star Wars is still going to be a family thing, but families are diverse, and they're all ages and shapes and sizes and colors. And I think we're not going to see R-rated Star Wars. I really don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see some PG-13 intense stuff. But I think that we're still going to have, it still has to feel authentic Star Wars. Now, it's taken on different tones throughout the years, but ultimately at its core, there should be an element of fun and fantasy and hope, and I think we're going to see that. But it might be harder to get to that place.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a shift, right? So we're used to seeing Skywalker films come out, and if that's the case, then the next breed is kind of open for whatever's open. I mean, I think what Star Wars has done a good job of is taking those smaller characters, weaving them into the plot, and letting them have their own, stand on themselves. Like, so might as well just take somebody from the prequels and see what they're at, you know, and just like seeing where everything can kind of shift. I think they're going to hopefully rise up either smaller characters or brand new characters along the way. I think that's where they're headed. They're trying to even build the franchise even longer, even bigger. See, that's for the comics and for the books. So I think hopefully it's something that's brand new. And I talked about this yesterday too. Is like I feel like everything that comes out always does come back to that link to that Skywalker saga because of the way it permeates through the universe. You know, it always affects everybody so much to some degree. So it's always going to come back to that. Right. But I think for some reason,
Sorry.
That's cool. That's
Can you do it again? We can look.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
While we're talking.
I had to take an opportunity.
Yeah. You know, and I guess the only thing I can say about it is one thing that I know it will be, and they said this was in the Mandalorian bit today, is it will be an adventure, a true Star Wars adventure, and I've no doubt that's exactly what it will be.
Yeah. We like to see a quacking monkey lizard on a roast.
Oh, yeah.
That was a weird, like, should I be happy? Should I be upset? I don't know. Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else want to come up? We got
anybody else? Yeah, I got a couple questions. Come on down. You'll be next.
You guys can line up if you want to.
Yeah, a little line. Fine. Come on up.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Claire.
Hi, Claire.
And this is not related to the back of my shirt where I demand an Obi-Wan series with Ewan McGregor. Yes, my ladies back there. This is related to the YouTube series Star Wars Kids.
Yes.
And how Forces of Destiny was out, and then all of a sudden nobody talks about it anymore, and then Star Wars Kids came out. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on how that kind of ebbed and flowed.
I can speak to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
just my perspective, and I work in IT and design and marketing. Some of the things is like they push things out there with some great ideas, and I think, like, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's see how this goes. And I remember last celebration they came out with Forces of Destiny, and it was a hit at the show.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it kind of just like it kind of fade, right? But now they come out with the little clips of the basically reimagining the small sections of Star Wars as a cartoon. But they put those online, and they put those in front of you on Facebook and on media. So it's like, oh, I've got 2 minutes, I can watch this. But do I have $50 to invest in $1? I mean, it's true, right? I mean, you have to kind of, as a Star Wars fan, you have to be able to take things at a pace. And I think that, I don't think it's gone. I think it's just going to change, and they're going to change things around. But I mean, I'm not in charge of that. But I think that's my...
Yet.
Yeah. Oh, please.
No, I was just going to reflect exactly what Corey said. I think it was
exactly what I said.
I think it's
exactly
they often. No, I think a lot of it is also unfortunately driven by marketing, don't you? I mean, and we're also such a society that we remember what's in our immediate, 2-week window, but then everything kind of dissipates. Because I think Force of Destiny is great, and it's the first series that I really introduced our 5-year-old to. By the way, our oldest is right there. This is Peyton Johnson. He's going to be big. Yeah, super cool. I really think that's a big part of that.
I think what we learned this weekend, too, is the fact that nothing can die. And so...
Yeah, that's
right?
true. That's true.
Or nothing's gone forever. I think that's what the official words were. That, so there's always a possibility for it to come back. So,
okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we've got like 30 seconds left, and I want to be very respectful of the next group that's going to come in. But we've got a line over here, and I have a microphone, as it turns out. So we're going to edit this in such a way that you're still going to be on the show. Okay, so if you want to ask us a question, please do. In the meantime, you may follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Our Instagram is, we want to build that one up a little bit more. Our Twitter's doing great, so keep that coming. You can subscribe to CWK Pour Over, which is our Patreon show. We want to thank you so very much for being here. You make Coffee with Kenobi possible. Thank you so much. Have a great celebration. Thank you.